75mm Skoda Mountain Gun M15 was a mountain gun used by the Austro-Hungarian army during World War I. In German service, it was known as the 7.5 cm WW15. In Italian service, they were referred to as Obus de 75/13. In the Wehrmacht, these weapons, captured after Italy's exit from the war in 1943, were designated as 7.5 cm WW259I. The Austro-Hungarian military leadership paid special attention to the development of mountain artillery. The reason for this was the geographical location of the country, a significant part of which consisted of mountains and rugged terrain. Because the mountainous areas were largely located in the border regions of the empire, the likelihood of combat operations in such terrain was high. This situation necessitated the presence of mountain infantry units, for which mountain artillery was urgently needed for support. The first example of Austrian mountain artillery was the 66mm M75 gun, German, 7 cm Gebirgskanon M75, developed at the Skoda factory. The weapon was compact and lightweight, but by the time it was adopted in 1875, it was already outdated, as it had a bronze barrel and lacked a recoil mechanism. The M75 was replaced by the M99 cannon of 72.5mm caliber, equipped with a spring recoil brake in the carriage. However, the design proved to be inefficient and did not ensure reliable stabilization of the cannon in the firing position. Nevertheless, by the onset of World War I, the M99 was the main type of artillery in the Imperial and Royal Mountain Artillery and was in service with 20 batteries. Attempts to modernize the M99 did not yield positive results, and the M12 cannon, developed as part of the competition for mountain artillery for the Russian army, although it had export success, was too heavy. 7 horses were required for its transport on pack animals. In early 1914, the Skoda factory began the development of a new mountain artillery piece, which was later adopted into service under the designation 7.5 cm Gebirgskanon M15. The production of the guns started in 1915, but initially progressed slowly. By the end of the year, only 250 units were delivered, which delayed the rearmament of the Austro-Hungarian mountain artillery until mid-1916. The guns were manufactured at the Skoda factory in Pilsen, and later a branch of this company in the Hungarian city of Deir joined in. By November 1918, the plant in Pilsen produced 2,044 units of the 7.5 cm Gebirgskanon M15, 324 in 1915, 620 in 1916, 860 in 1917, 240 in 1918, while the Deir factory delivered a total of 220 guns. The artillery was actively supplied abroad. 144 guns were supplied to Turkey, 124 to Bulgaria. Several dozen M15 were acquired by Germany, which used the guns in a role not typical for them as infantry artillery, equipping 17 batteries with them. The artillery on German service received negative reviews due to its fragility. The reason was the transportation of the artillery by horse-drawn means, which was only considered as a backup by the Austrians, causing the artillery, which could be disassembled into 6 parts, to be quickly developed and in need of repairs. The cannons that survived World War I were then used by the Reichswehr and the Wehrmacht. After 1938, the fleet of WW15 was replenished with Austrian and Czechoslovakian cannons, increasing overall to 254 units. The guns that previously belonged to the Austrian army were designated as WW15-O, while the Czech ones were labeled WW15-T. In 1941, they were joined by artillery captured from the Yugoslav army, referred to as WW259-J, and in 1943 by the Italian WW259-I. The last WW15 guns to become trophies of the Germans were several dozen pieces from the Slovak army, captured after the suppression of the Slovak national uprising in 1944. One of the most active users of the M15 was Italy, which captured 392 such guns during World War I, and additionally received 258 artillery pieces in 55 barrels as reparations. Furthermore, in 1938, Italy purchased another 96 of these guns of Czechoslovakian manufacture. In the Italian army, these artillery pieces were designated as Obus de 75/13 Modello 15. After the conclusion of the truce between Italy and the Allied forces, the 75/13 guns were in service with both the troops of the Italian Social Republic and the remaining Royal Italian forces fighting on the side of the Allies. After the war, 203 guns were repaired at the Turin Arsenal and were put into service with the Alpine Brigades, and were decommissioned only in 1964. The M15 was actively used during the fighting on the Italian front, where it proved itself excellently. Its small size and weight were well suited for mountainous conditions. The destructive capabilities of the ammunition were also considered quite acceptable. In early 1918, several mountain artillery regiments were disbanded for operations in Romania, and their battalions were transferred to infantry divisions. There, the M15 was used as artillery for direct support of the infantry. In the Wehrmacht, the WW15 was used by mountain infantry divisions, whose artillery regiment included 4 battalions, 2 of which, with 2 batteries each, were equipped with 75 mm mountain guns. A similar organization was found in the artillery regiments of light infantry divisions. Additionally, the WW15 were also supplied to airborne units. Over time, they were displaced by more advanced and compact recoilless guns, and new 75 mm mountain guns, the WW36, were introduced into the mountain and light infantry divisions. The WW15 guns were used by the 1st Mountain Infantry Division during the Polish campaign and during the Blitzkrieg in the West, the 2nd and 3rd Divisions during the occupation of Norway, as well as by the 5th and 6th Mountain Infantry Divisions in the fighting in Greece and the landing in Crete in the spring of 1941. Italians actively used the Obus 75 13th Mod. 1915 during the war with Abyssinia, where a total of 394 guns were deployed. Additionally, a battery of these guns participated in the Spanish Civil War. During World War II, 608 Obus 75 13th Mod. 1915 took part in combat operations against Greece, and 72 guns, as part of the artillery units of Thane significant quantities. WW15 became part of the armies of the countries formed after the dissolution of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Thus, in Austria, these guns were used not only to equip mountain artillery divisions but also some units of regular field artillery. Alpine divisions Julia, Tridentina, and Cunenz found themselves on the Eastern Front. Czechoslovakia, on whose territory the WW15 manufacturing plant remained, adopted these guns into service under the designation 7.5 cm Horski Cannon VZ. 15. From the Imperial and Royal Army, the Czechoslovakians inherited 58 pieces of artillery, to which an additional 240 produced at Skoda in 1921 to 1924 were added. These guns were used in battles against the neighbors of the newly born republic, the Poles and Hungarians. Mountain artillery equipped the armored trains Brno, Bratislava, and General Stefanik. In the spring of 1920, the Czechoslovaks acquired 2 gunboats OMD-1 and OMD-2. The main armament of which consisted of 2 VZ. 15 guns on pedestal mounts, without shields. During the interwar period, the VZ. 15 was the primary artillery system in service with 12 mountain artillery divisions, each had 2 batteries of such guns. By the autumn of 1938, the Czechoslovak army had 235 VZ. 15 guns. After the occupation of Czechoslovakia and the proclamation of Slovak independence, Slovakia received 112 VZ. 15 guns remaining from the Czechoslovak army, 13 of which were immediately handed over to the Germans, and another 96 were sent to storage warehouses. The Rapid Brigade, Slovak Rikla Brigada, created on June 25, 1941, to participate in Operation Barbarossa, received 1 battery of 4 VZ. 15 guns. Later, as part of the Slovak Guard Division, which served in Ukraine and Belarus, a division of such guns appeared, 12 guns. In total, as of April 1944, 55 VZ. 15 guns had been sent to the Eastern Front, of which 28 were lost.